We're parents, teachers, and educators, and like you, we're passionate about restoring our culture for Christ. This is Veritas Vox, the voice of classical Christian education.
Hello again, and welcome to another episode of Veritas Vox, the voice of classical Christian education. Today we have with us one of our students in our online school, Veritas Scholars Academy, Lauren Hall. Lauren, welcome.
Thank you so much, Mr. Detweiler. I appreciate your time and I'm so excited to be here today.
Well, it's exciting to us to see and interact with people that have benefited from what we're doing. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been associated with Veritas.
Yeah, so it's crazy to think that this is my senior year. I still sometimes feel like I'm in eighth grade, but I joined Veritas as an eighth grader, joined the live courses then, and actually didn't join the diploma program until my junior year, so a little bit later, but have absolutely loved my time at Veritas and all the teachers and the classes I've been able to take and the relationships I've been able to build too. But Veritas was a part of my education since I was in, kindergarten, first grade, when me and my brothers would do the self-paced history and Bible classes. So I remember all the timelines and everything, and then doing omnibus and then morphing into the live classes as well. So yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. So you've been involved in live classes 5 years, and
Yes.
of course, Veritas curriculum has been part of your life since sounds like kindergarten. That's wonderful. Do you have brothers and sisters?
I do. I have 4 younger brothers. So
Okay.
I'm the oldest, and there's probably a basketball game going on downstairs right now, and lots of sports and lots of fun. So
Are they all involved in Veritas as well?
they are. So
Oh, that's
2
wonderful.
of them are doing live classes and are diploma students, and then 2 of them are doing the self-paced courses at the time.
Wonderful. Now you live in New Hampshire. Are there other people in your church or near where you live that are also part of Veritas?
There are. We do a homeschool co-op on Mondays that I'm a part of and have been a part of since kindergarten. And so there's actually quite a few people who do Veritas there, and that's how we were introduced to the program. So they do like the geography program for the kids and all the sciences. And it's really nice because some of the teachers teach science and they do the labs that correlate with the online classes. So we can take the classes throughout the week and then come and do the labs together
that's
as a co-op.
awesome.
And so it's very nice. Yes.
What a great use of time together. I love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I love that. Well, you've been involved in 2 things
Yes.
that we do to help students that join the school. One is called the moderating team, and the other is called the mentoring team.
Yes.
Tell us first about the moderating team, what it is and what your involvement was.
Yeah, so I joined the moderating team as a freshman, and the moderating team is a group of students who go through an interview process and work directly under Dean King and the heads of Student Commons, and we run the Student Commons. So this is kind of a place where students can come outside of classes and discuss different things, have fun, share prayer requests, share memes that they find funny, have theological debates, especially, in the older ones, and they're grouped into 4 different age categories. So we have the 3rd through 5th graders, 6th through 7th graders, 8th through 9th graders, and then 10th through 12th graders. So each of the team members are moderating a specific age group, and they work together with head moderators and head of Student Commons to make sure that these discussion groups are filled with good things and with joyous things, and that they're all going to the glory of God. So we keep it clean, but we also try to keep it fun and interact with the students.
Yeah, we found it wise and helpful to make sure that conversations didn't devolve into troublesome interactions. How have you seen the role that you played in it help to keep things good and healthy?
I think it's really interesting just having the moderators and their influence on the students. We kind of get to be like big brothers or sisters, or, in the high school, just brothers and sisters in Christ. And so we get to just have that influence and almost the not peer pressure in a bad way, but the peer pressure to be good and to be glorifying to God, has the students strive for excellence in what they say. And so I think that the mod team just puts on a picture of godly young men and women. And, we've been interviewed by the dean of students. And so we're qualified for this position, and just in the way that we live our lives and the things that we say on the discussions kind of is an example to the students that we get to moderate. And so I think just simply that makes student commons so fun, because people want to be talking about good things. And then, if a student chooses to say something wrong, we say, hey, that's not appropriate for student commons. Can you please delete that? Or go into a process of discipline if needed. But there's a lot of peer pressure to do good things too.
Yeah. We really love the fact that it's students helping students. We think there's something healthy about that. Have you seen that?
Absolutely. And I think it's such an opportunity for students to have positions of leadership and to grow in their leadership skills on an online platform. And I think that is so cool, and definitely boosted my confidence joining the mod team, and just allowed me to have so much fun and grow in other leadership opportunities too.
Now you're not in, excuse me, you're not involved in the moderating team anymore because of what you're doing with the mentoring team.
Yes.
What was, is there a progression there for some people to move from moderating to mentoring? What is it that happened there?
Yeah, so the mentoring team, you have to be an upperclassman. So typically juniors and seniors are the only ones who serve on the mentor team. So a lot of people come in as freshmen and sophomore as moderators, and then if they choose to pursue the mentoring team too, they apply for that. And a lot of people actually balance both jobs well. And so
some
I did
people
that.
do both.
Yes, I did that my sophomore and junior year. So I did both of them. And then when I was asked to be the head of the mentoring team, I decided to leave the moderating team, although both teams come together in a platform, and that's where we do most of our discussion. So all the team, they correspond with each other. And so it's not like I'm leaving a whole team behind, but just serving in a different way.
Yeah. So tell us about the function of mentors, not about what you do as the head of that. We'll talk about that in just a minute, but tell us what mentors do.
Yeah, so mentors are in charge of running the help desk. And this is an anonymous chat-based program where students from Veritas can come with questions or concerns or want of advice or technology tips. And so mentors answer those calls, and we talk with students and we answer their questions, whether that be questions about homework or questions relating to, I got kicked out of Student Commons, can you let me back in? We get a lot of those. Or questions relating to family stuff, maybe questions about the Bible, scriptural questions, even some that are more serious relating to, mental health issues or whatever. So we get to answer that and help them in an anonymous way so that they're able to feel safe, but we are able to love them well in that platform. And then we also answer prayer and praise discussions on the Student Commons. So we kind of work with the moderators there. And we also write encouragement posts for the help desk group. So we write little devotionals there to encourage the students every other week. And then we hold quarterly prayer and praise meetings.
Wonderful. Isn't there also a real practical element of helping new students get onboarded?
Absolutely. And especially with students trying to figure out technical issues or how to relate well to teachers, what the chat box is used for. A lot of students come and are like, hi, I don't really know what I'm doing in my class. Can you help me? And so we're able to be like, yes, here's this. And so we've all come from many years of Veritas. And so we're able to share our tips and tricks with newer students too. So that's fun.
Yeah. When I interview teachers, I'm involved in the interview of every teacher that we hire. 3 of us are involved in the last interview. Tom Garfield, of course, Dr. Cannon, and me. But when I interview them, frequently the teachers have a question about the difference between teaching online and teaching in a bricks and mortar classroom and that sort of thing. And one of the things that I've commonly told them is that there's a learning curve that they will go through. And if they're teaching 2 or more classes, it will probably last about a month before they find their voice and their comfort in communication and that sort of thing. I'm curious what you would say to a student about their learning curve in getting up to speed as a student entering into a live online class?
Yeah, so I've answered multiple of these calls, especially at the beginning of the year. And
Yeah.
I just tell the students like give yourself grace. You know, this is a new setting and that can be scary. And so just be honest with yourself and talk with your parents and talk with your friends and talk with your teachers. Like correspond with their teachers. They absolutely want to hear from you. They absolutely want to help you as much as they can. Don't be afraid of your classmates. Your classmates are going to be some of your best friends. You're going to spend hours and hours and hours with them throughout the school year. So get to know them early on and get to do homework together maybe or ask for questions or help and use the chat box. Well, chat box is super fun to interact with your teacher, interact with your classmates. And if you get a question wrong on webcam, that's okay. Everyone does that. And just slow down and try to just enjoy every moment and don't be so caught up in, oh my goodness, what are people going to think about me? But just give yourself grace. And after a couple of weeks go by, you're gonna have the swing of things. So you'll be great.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that the learning curve for students is a lot easier than teachers, but it's still a very real
Yeah.
learning curve. Uh,
Hmm.
How has moderating and mentoring helped students not only get up to speed, but really, one of the things that people that have not experienced online classes are inclined to say is there must not be much community. But moderating and mentoring tells us a very different story, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I have so many friends who are like, do you get any social interaction in your life? And I'm like, yeah, I do. And so I think just having a community at Veritas, I think Veritas does so well in allowing opportunities for students to interact together in the classroom and then outside the classroom with student commons and with maybe email chains or texting chains. I know one of my classes has a texting chain that like I woke up this morning and had 175 texts from. So
Oh my word.
definitely, I have it on silent. So, there's so many ways to just interact with your classmates, and then going to end of year gathering and seeing your classmates, seeing your teachers is super fun because I know I went and I was like, I already know these people. Like it was weird. I thought I was going to be like introducing myself to people, but I already knew them. And just because I knew them from like the shoulders up didn't make it any different. I knew their personalities, I knew how they worked, and I was friends with them. And so I think there's so much fun that is had on Veritas within classes and within student commons, and there's so much social interaction. And with classes like rhetoric and omnibus, where you're giving speeches, where you're debating and stuff, you get so much practical tools that you can put in your toolbox of life. And I feel like I'm able to interact and to communicate so much better than many of my friends who go to brick and mortar schools.
Yeah. Um, let's pursue this a little bit. We have heard one of the, it actually gets me emotionally a little bit to think about this. But one of the things that I've heard is somebody coming to the end of year gathering and being in the large lobby at the Eden Resort and hearing a voice, knowing who it was before they saw them, and running to them to meet their best friend in person for the first time. Is that something that you've experienced?
It is like the sweetest moments to be at end of your gathering. You're sitting and you're anxiously like awaiting all your friends coming, and then you just hear these voices, you see these people, and you immediately know who it is. And you're like, oh my goodness, I was in class with them, or meeting people from years before and being like, I was in 3 classes with them like 4 years ago and I know them and we're still friends. And just like hearing a voice and being like, I know exactly who that is, and just running and hugging them and get to hug them in person. That's like one of the things I miss most about online school is like I can't give hugs to people and that makes me sad. But um at end of the year gathering, just being able to hug those people, it's so fun. And truly I encourage every student to go to end of the year gathering because it is so worth it.
What would you say to someone, maybe a parent, maybe a student, who says, "Yeah, I just don't know how online school could really be a community"?
I would say that definitely like give it a chance because you will be shocked with how much Veritas encourages community and encourages interacting with other people, and having a very down to earth relationship with teachers is something that Veritas really excels in because some of my teachers have become very close friends of mine and we like write letters to each other, we text each other, we follow each other on social media. And it's so fun to just have those interactions, but also have interactions with classmates because you're only a FaceTime call away and you can always, do a Zoom meeting, do a Google Meet, maybe FaceTime each other and have really long conversations. I've had like 3 hour long conversations with my best friends from Veritas and just feels like we're talking in person because we just get to be chill and just talk with each other and just have really meaningful conversations. And so some of my best friends have come from Veritas. And even though we live hours and hours apart,
Yeah.
I feel like, we know each other as if we were
Well,
best friends
have
living.
you always
Yeah.
lived in New Hampshire?
I was born in Indiana, moved to North Carolina, but moved to New Hampshire when I was like 5 years old. So that's mostly where I grew
Your
up.
life experience is really New Hampshire, and it's
Yes.
a very different culture than
Yeah.
North Carolina or Indiana, let alone Texas, Florida, California, or who knows where else.
I know. Yeah.
How has the geographic diversity, not only nationally, but internationally, how's that experience in your education enriched, gotta get the word right, enriched your experience?
I think it's been so eye-opening to see what different people experience around the world and in different cultures. And I know I have a classmate in my anatomy class who does dissections with us, but she lives in India. And so she brings like she can't order like a preserved, dissection kit or something. So she goes to the butcher and gets like actual freshly killed parts of the cow or something to dissect with
Oh,
us. And
that's
so that's
awesome.
really cool to see like the differences. And people do different things if they're international, but just the cultural differences and like have a lot of people who do theater and I'm not much of a theater person, but I think that is so cool. Or just different hobbies that come from maybe different areas of the world or different states and just the cultural aspect that people bring in, but also knowing that under everything, under all our differences, like we have a foundation of Christ. And so we are brothers and sisters in Christ. And that's truly like how friendship grows. And that no matter if we have a Southern accent or maybe a British one. I don't know. We love the Lord, and so
It
that's
was,
how we
we
relate to one
started
another.
doing online classes now about 20 years ago.
Yeah,
It was the greatest unforeseen benefit
yeah,
was to have students from other cultures, other countries join together and learn together. And the richness of that is simply not possible in K-12 educations
yeah,
in virtually any other situation. And it's really, I think it's very significant in
yeah,
how it opens up the students' minds to understanding what is universally true and what is culturally bound as it relates
yeah,
to Christianity or life in general.
absolutely. And I think it's really interesting to hear how Christianity is spread across the world and to understand that like I have classmates from China who are such strong believers and like thinking that like the gospel of Christ is active there as it is in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
And Christ doesn't change across the globe, although our cultures may and our time differences may. But Christ is eminent and he is solid. So that's so cool to see the different, maybe persecutions people are going through, the hardships
Yeah.
that their faith causes. And so just being thankful that I get to live in a country that is free to worship Christ, but also knowing that like they're being grown and they're being stretched in their faith too. So it's really neat.
Getting back to the topic of mentoring, you're the head mentor. How
I
many
am.
mentors are you overseeing?
I believe there's 13 other mentors this year. Yep.
Tell us, if you can, recall some of the complex things you've had to deal with and maybe a funny thing or two that you've had to deal with.
Absolutely. Um, there's been calls that are really hard to answer, and you feel like you can't say the right words to soothe their what they're coming with and the sorrows that they're bearing. And I know that I have struggled with guilt in different situations of coming off a call and feeling like, oh, I didn't do enough and oh, I wasn't good enough. And maybe they come back and they're like, I'm still struggling with this. And I'm like, oh man, what did I say wrong? But knowing that like Christ will speak through you and you're just there as a vessel serving him. And so that is so special, knowing that he is before all things, and in him all things hold together. And so he holds their life, and no matter what words you say, your words aren't going to be the ones that are going to change their life around. It's going to be his Holy Spirit touching their heart. And so knowing that he's using you just as a vessel, and you just have to be willing to serve with what he's given you, and willing to serve with the words that come to mind or with the verses that he places on your heart. That's really special to be at a point where you're like, I can't do anything personally about this situation, but I trust that the Lord holds it in his hands, and that he will use my words and my interaction with this student, brief as it may be, to work in their lives in ways that I might not see until eternity, but in ways that I trust that he's growing them. And then also, like, there's been students who have come back multiple years, and just seeing their sanctification and the journey that they've had with Christ, from knowing them like at the beginning of their walk with Christ as they're questioning like, who is Jesus? And then to accepting Jesus, and then to getting baptized, and then to evangelizing themselves, and to being so strong in their faith. And that is so
Wow,
special
that
to
is really
just see
incredible.
that walk, and to have a front row seat to that, of like watching Jesus transform a life, is so special. And so there's also funny moments, when students come and are like, will you play Gimkit with me? And you're like, they keep coming back, and you're like, oh, maybe ask the moderators on Student Commons or something like that. But there's sweet calls too, where the students call you like Mrs. Hall, and I'm like, I'm not married, but it's really sweet. So yeah.
That's funny. So your plans, you graduate this spring,
I do.
spring of 2025,
Yeah.
and you're planning to go to Cedarville to
Yes.
study nursing. What are your plans for this summer after the end of your gathering?
Yeah, so I'm going to be working at a doctor's office as a medical technician. And so I'm really excited about that, to get kind of my feet into the medical world a little bit before I go into nursing school, to get practice in that. And then I'll also just be trying to spend as much time with my family as I can before I move 16 hours away. So it'll definitely be a big change, but so excited. Bittersweet for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah.
How would you say your experience as a moderator, your experience as a mentor, your experience as the head of mentors, and your education at Veritas will help you as an adult?
I think Veritas has prepared me excellently to understand the world around me through a biblical worldview, to be able to defend my faith, to be able to communicate well, to be able to take on heavy course loads. Like in college, I've had friends from Veritas who go to college and say, Veritas has helped me so much in that all my classmates are struggling through this book. And I'm like, I read this in seventh grade. And so being able
Yeah,
to
we
take
hear
on,
the thing I hear most from graduates of ours is Veritas was hard, but college was easy.
yes, yes. And so, putting in all the hard work at Veritas, and late night studying, pulling all-nighters, exams and midterms and assignments and lab reports that are like 20 pages long for chemistry or whatever, that's going to prepare me so well for wherever the Lord leads next, and for wherever the Lord leads any student next, whether that be trades, whether that be university, whether that be the mission field, whether that be, getting married and having kids, raising a family. And I think Veritas has helped me learn to engage the culture well, and to also communicate well with rhetoric and apologetics and omnibus. And so to think critically, and then to love the Lord well through all that I do.
Yeah, that is truly wonderful. We have a couple minutes left. Are there other things that you'd like to say
Hmm.
that we haven't covered?
I think that the Lord has just been teaching me so much lately how important it is to rest at his feet, and to really be intentional in a relationship with Christ. And so to those who are listening and stuff, I think that it can be easy to put all your motivation in your assignments and in your work. But really, if Christ and the gospel of Christ is not within what you're doing, then you labor in vain. It's worthless. And so making sure that the one life you've been given, live it in a manner worthy of the gospel that you've received, because Christ is giving you the breath in your lungs, and nothing else matters apart from Christ. And also like I don't know if you remember the book You Are Special by Max Lucado, but that was a book that was really special to me as a kid and as a girl reading through it. And it recently came to mind, but it's about these like little Wemmick people and they put stars and dots on each other as like praises or scorn. And there's one girl who has none. And when a little boy with all dots he sees her, he's like, oh, I want that. I don't want any stickers. So he asks her how, and she says, I go spend time with my maker every day. And so spending time with your maker, as you spend time with him, the praises and the adoration of men are they're gonna fall off because they're not gonna matter to you. And all that's gonna matter to you is what your maker thinks of you. And so knowing that you are special because he made you and that he doesn't make mistakes and that spending time with him, it's going to make the things of the earth grow strangely dim because his light and his glory and his grace is going to be all that you want to be in. And so just to God be all the glory because he's done great things. And yeah, I'm so grateful for Veritas and for all that it's been to me and just the relationships that I've built and with teachers and the education I've received has been phenomenal and such a blessing in my life.
Well, we have, we and many others within Veritas have worked long and hard for decades. And I got to tell you, hearing your story and knowing that your story is not a unique one, makes it much easier to get up in the morning for us to do what we do day after day. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. And praise the Lord for all your hard work in this school because it is transforming lives and it's changing lives. And that will change the world, and will glorify the Lord. So thank you.
Very good. Well, Lauren, I look forward to seeing you at the end of your gathering. As you know, it's a busy place. So make sure to come up and say hello.
I
I
will.
think I'll recognize you, but just in case, make sure you reference us doing this together.
I
And
will.
thank you
I
for
will.
joining us today.
Thank you, Mr. Detweiler. I so appreciate your time, and it was so fun to get to know you more and to share a little bit of my heart and my journey with Veritas. So
Well,
thank
it's been
you.
great to hear it. And folks, thank you for joining us for another episode of Veritas Vox, the voice of classical Christian education. We hope to see you next time. Thanks, Lauren.